That would be the last thing you would want to hear. 14 or 15 years it's been, and they haven't made the playoffs, and he says that. It would be crazy.
So, I mean, I guess what else are they going to say? But there's also been, like, Alex Tuck and Thompson have said, we got to figure this out. They're not talking about so they can win more. They're like, guys' careers melt away fast. And pretty soon you're in a place for, especially when you're a really good player, when you're, a guy that's just in the league, like, man, you'll play anywhere. Like, I was thrilled to play in Atlanta the last 3 years of my career. We got our teeth kicked in. I was just happy to be in the league, right? But those guys, they're looking and go, wait a minute, I could play on a really good team. I could be on a team that plays in a way different space than the Sabres. I look at Buffalo and I did some interview like at the start of the year, and I said my biggest fear or concern in Buffalo is I don't know what they're supposed to be. Like you might think you're a physical team and maybe not quite be good enough at it, or a scoring team but not quite good enough at it. Well, like what are the Sabres supposed to be? And I think that's, after this many years, that's the biggest problem. And so if they're all this fire Kevin Adams stuff. So say you fire him and you bring in a new guy, the first thing they have to do is identify what the hell they have there and what are they trying to be. Because
but that's 5 times over.
For the life of me, I can't
happened.
tell you. Like, what are they?
Yeah, they're a collection. They've got some good players, but you're right. There's a culture and no identity, Ray. That's the biggest challenge. And I think you did the New York game last night against Edmonton, right? Like, what are the?
Oh no, I was in Wash. I was in Wash. I've got Edmonton the next one. I did New York opening night. They're a team in the middle in a lot of ways. Like they've got two lines that can score. Two lines that can score, and two lines that will never score. They've got some older players, no middle, and some younger players. So like it seems like they're trying to step into where the young guys take a bigger chunk of the team, except all their better players are their older guys. They're an older team. And the young guys, they sent them all to the American League, which is probably the right spot. But could you imagine, like, Noodles, you played there, and they haven't scored a goal in 3 games at home. Like that, you would feel that in the arena, like halfway through the anthem. Like you'd feel people getting nervous. It's like like JT Miller's like, relax, it's 3 games, and he's totally right. Except I don't know games. Like what exactly, what are they going to be? Like are they going to score enough to be good enough? And I don't know that they are.
Well, on an individual basis, Elias Pettersson, I guess, came out today and say, I got to take some ownership for my slow start. Speaking of his slow start, he's got 1 assist, and they're panicking Vancouver. Yeah. I've picked up on that people aren't sure where Adam Foote's going with his team and what's going to happen. And like with Pettersson, we've talked about him so many times over the years, the 3 of us and the 4 of us when you join us, Ray. And I'm getting concerned from afar of like whether or not this guy can get out of the rut. And you see him up close, and you know the market, you know how they feel about him. Like, give us the glass half full, glass half empty approach to him on why you think he could return back to stardom, superstardom, or why maybe this is who he's going to be, and if so, that's going to be serious trouble for Vancouver.
Well, if this is who he's going to be, they've got enormous problems because he's their highest paid guy. They're not strong in the middle of the ice. He has to be their best centerman. And if this is how he can play, then like they're sunk. I mean, like how are you going to work around that? The glass half full is that he's healthy and he was really engaged and skated quite well in training camp. It's like the game overwhelms him right now at times. And I'm really like, it's not like he had a 50-point year and you're like, oh, maybe he could get to 70. He had a 90-point year. Like, where did it go?
100-point year one time?
Did he get it? Did he get that
Close.
high?
He was tipping up on it for sure. He was.
I'm pretty sure
I'm
that
like,
cat had 100 points in the National Hockey League.
Like, where does it go? Like, how do you go? This is the thing I just cannot get from him. Is like, it can't just disappear, can it? Like, I don't understand. I can't think of anyone that I would compare to that sort of thing. You know, other than injury, take a guy right out of commission. But he used to get the puck, and he's not a super fast guy, but he'd go north with it. He'd get himself into a position to shoot it. He'd shoot it. You know who's not fast and a great player is Wyatt Johnston. He's not fast. He's not big. He's not strong. Like none of those things you'd go, like, oh, this is why he's a really good player. He's just a really good player. He's got goals in 3 straight games.
Quick, Ray. Like Wayne Gretzky.
Right? 2 strides.
Not like not a bullet skater, but he was just quick and he was on everything.
Yeah.
And so I think if people are, in Vancouver, of course, the panic button's at 11 already. And it's because of what Pettersson has not been able to do out of the gate. And so they can talk about the depth of the roster and, they've got really good goaltending, and Quinn Hughes hasn't had a very good start either. He's such a fabulous player. But you can talk about all those things, but if Pettersson doesn't get out of the mud, I just don't see what the solution is.
With Ray Ferraro, Florida got hit again today against Kulikov, which was not technically today. I think the last few days they knew this was coming, but he's out for 5 months, and Barkov's done, and Tkachuk is out, and yet they've won games and they've kind of hit the ground running, but they've played more hockey than anyone else the last 3 years. They're still the prohibitive favorite. If everyone's healthy, they're still the best team in the league, but where do you see this going in Florida? If your other top-end teams in the East or top-end teams in the league, are you starting to gain some confidence that maybe the wheels are going to fall off a little bit, considering everything that they have to go through already?
Well, I mean, we put our picks in at the start of the year. I had Florida as the Stanley Cup winner again, even though I'm like, how could anyone possibly win 3 years in a row? And then Barkov got hurt. And I'm like, well, that changes everything. Because you can say, oh, they can, Lundell can move up, and they've got Bennett, and Rodriguez used to play center, and so they could put him there too, but it's just not the same team. It's like you take your best all-around guy, and even if he were able to come back, like, at what percentage is he going to be able to come back at? So I don't really care how many guys they've lost. They're a good team. They're going to make the playoffs. I would be worried about playing them, because you might get into a series and then you get no chances and they win every game 3-2 or 2-1. Like, they could do that. It definitely brings them back to the pack, though. Like, no question. I remember talking to Paul Maurice. It was actually here. I'm in New York now. And last year, and he said, they'd gone through a rough stretch, and he goes, I'm a little bit worried, but I'm not concerned. He said, I'm worried because we're giving some points away and we're not playing well. And so I keep thinking of that each time I read, oh, here goes another guy for, what's Kulikov, 5 months or something or other. Right? And you're like, but they're kind of like, the old tortoise and the hare. And teams are going to race out and get into a lead, and they're just going to plug along and just, eat up points and get enough points and get to 96 points and make the playoffs, and then everybody's got a problem again.
Ray, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the talk of the National Hockey League is Easton Cowan of the Toronto Maple Leafs in his
I didn't know that.
Yes, it is. It's accurate.
Everyone is buzzing about it. Like, what do you think needs to happen? We were talking about it earlier in the show, about him staying on a line with Austin Matthews. Is it like, does Matthews have to continue to produce? Does Cowan have to continue to look comfortable? Like, what do you think the odds are that he could stick on that top line with 34?
Well, two things. One, I think, is going to depend on, like, at what level of consistency can he play? Like, can he? Because when you're playing with those guys, like right? You see the other team's big boys all the time. You get the other team's
And
best
deep
defense
pairings.
pair all the time. And you're like, it's hard. And what if he goes 14 games with 2 points? Like, you can't keep him there. It's no good for him. The other part is, if it's not him, who's it going to be?
Right.
Right. And so that's really the trouble that you get into building a lineup is, okay, so it looked good for one game. And so, of course, you go back in another game. But what if in 2 weeks it doesn't quite look so good? Who are you going to put there and feel confident that that's the right guy?
A heater road trip with matchups and really good teams would be fascinating to watch relatively soon, because then you're going to see what you're in for on the road.
Well, just think of what Edmonton had to do last night. Same sort of thing. Like, it's easy to play McDavid and Draisaitl at home together. But when you get on the road, you get the other team's best D, you get their best matchup line, and they broke them apart. First game really on the road that they were in a little bit of a blender a bit, and they split them apart. Because it's hard to play on the road. And I loved being like a number 2 center, because the other guy had to play against the other team's best guys. That was perfect for me. That was the place I belonged. He's so young. Like, I don't know. What do you think? Can he maintain a pace that would say, yeah, this is a first line winger? I think it would be really hard, and expecting a lot from a kid just getting his feet wet.
Well, he's looked good the first 2 games, but to your point, they're both home games, and they're not against the greatest teams in the world, Detroit and Nashville. And he's not the biggest guy in the world either. And, one of the kind of sub-stories about the last couple of games have been he's taken a couple of hits, and there's been some scrums that have kind of surrounded him, and the role of Austin Matthews in that as the leader, the captain, he hasn't been exactly flying into the scrum to kind of protect them or to be a part of it. And my theory is I'm curious if Matthews is still thinking about the injuries he suffered last year, and does he want to put himself in any position where he might, trigger that again? I hope that's not his mentality, but I'm curious if you think it could be to an extent. If you ever came back from injuries and you're just weary of that, but also just the role of Matthews in making sure Cowan is comfortable, but also feeling somewhat protected. Meanwhile, he's Austin Matthews, and he's the marquee guy.
I think if you're expecting Austin to do that, you should find somebody else on the ice to do that. You got a couple of knuckle draggers on the blue line, like, jump in there. Like, what that would be like, Yari Curry got slashed and Gretsch should jump in there, and like, I know it's a different time, they stuck Dave Semenko there. And so if you're looking for Matthews to protect him, like, how's that going to happen? Like, that, he doesn't, I'll say this is kind of weird. He doesn't protect himself. Like, when there's a scrum, he just kind of skates away from it. It's not like he's going to dig in and, and get into a scrum. It's just not his way. And so